Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today I am gonna teach you how to do the most perfect French tip. So I'm really excited and let's get into it. So I do need to start out with some prep. The biggest question that I get asked all the time is like, how long do your nails last? And when my prep is good, I do my routine, my dehydrator, primer, and base coat, my nails can stay on for like 3+ weeks, which at that point I should take them off, but everyone's always surprised, like, oh my God. And that also applies for press-ons. Like if I'm doing press-ons and I want them to stay on, well, I have to be careful because sometimes when I'm doing press-ons, I don't want them to stay on and I shouldn't use primer because then I'm like, oh my God, I can't get these off. But if you have a pair of really nice press-ons and you want them to stay on, like actual nails, then yeah, you should try out some primer. That being said, I have a really affordable one on my store. I can leave a link below, and you can use Kaiju10 for 10% off at checkout. If you ever struggle with just like your nails or press-ons popping off, that's totally something I think you should check out. I know you have Christmas money, but I hope everyone did have a really good holiday. Mine was so relaxing. Well, was relaxing up until the end. So I'm now bi-coastal. So I'm spending most of my time here in LA, and then when I go visit my family out in Florida, it's an okay flight. It's like 6 hours. It's not bad. I've done worse. Getting there, not bad. But when we were coming home, right before we are leaving, this lady and her kid start getting into like a fist fight. The kid's like 12. The mom is like yelling and swearing and like hitting this kid. And all of a sudden the flight attendants are coming over and she's just saying like horrible things. And so they turn the plane around. They would go back to the gate. Security and the police come on and they have to get statements from everyone and it's a whole big thing. And this was all happening like in the row in front of me, but it was on the other side, so it was like diagonal. So I could see the whole thing. I kind of just felt bad for everyone in the situation. Like I know the holidays are really stressful for just everyone. The poor kid is just like a product of the situation. They have no control. And the mom was just going through like every emotion ever, like clearly spiraling, and I just felt bad, like something's not right there. It was hard to watch. That being said, they took care of it. We got back on our plane. After all that, it was like, now we gotta fly 6 hours there. But I am so glad to be back in LA. Why do I love LA? It's the jaywalking robots. Yeah, LA has jaywalking robots. They're just in the street. If you're familiar with the goooo robots, they're just like these little lunch boxes on wheels that deliver food. First time I ever saw one, my instinct was to just like scream at it. I apparently made someone's day because they saw the whole thing in the car like to the right of me and they were dying after I just like yelled at this robot. They're just in the streets and I wouldn't blame someone for just driving full speed into one. If you are shopping on my store, I do really want it to be like, I don't know, collaborative with like the people who are shopping my stuff. Like I put up review sections for all the stuff. So like if you try it, like please let me know. That feedback comes directly back to me. I'm like one person in this operation, so let me know what you like, let me know what you don't like, let me know what you want to see. Like if there's something new and maybe I can try to source it in an affordable way, like tell me to look for it, I'll find it. And I think that's like my big thing. Like I want affordability, accessibility. Everyone deserves beautiful nails. That's kind of the whole mission of Kaiju nails. I'm putting this peel off base coat on knowing full well I'm gonna rip these nails off. I'm sorry, don't do it. Please don't rip your nails off. There's something about it. It's just a little satisfying. Am I guilty? Is that my crime? Like, is it a hot take that it might be a little satisfying to rip your nails off? It's not good. It's not good for your nails. And I guess just one thing about me is that my nails, they're pretty thick. I have man hands. There's a lot of real estate. They can take a lot. The end all be all is don't do it. I do want to talk about how I'm using these, I want to call them forms, guides. And so when I am sizing out my tips, I am just finding the correlating number on the pad that I want to use. 0 with 0, 1 with 1. And so then I kind of just line it up with the tip and use the kind of hair clip to put it in place. Because everything's pretty smooth, if it's not perfect, you can kind of just push it around to line it up. And then once it looks good, just put your gel in. I am flash curing between each one, and then I am just putting them all in the lamp to fully cure them. And then I will say pulling off the tab once it's cured is so satisfying. It's kind of my favorite part of all of this. I'm using some Madame Glam like eggshell polishes. I don't know, one, I love a simple classy set, something marble, stone-esque. And so I was just thinking about that one scene of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kris Jenner took Kim Kardashian's Calcutta gold marble slabs. They got into a big fight about it and I thought it was just the funniest thing. And I was just like, this is really reminding me of just like pink gold marble. And who's spending $1 million on 10 slabs of marble? Also, one thing you may have noticed, I don't think I've ever really talked about in my videos, maybe I've mentioned it, but now more than ever, now that I have started my own business, but just like supporting other small businesses, you do see that I do have products that I use that have come from things like Amazon or Temu. I don't know, I'm just really in my sustainable era. I know it is a little bit more expensive, but it's good for the economy. You know, if you can't beat them, join them, and I think that applies to billionaires. So shopkaijunails.com. No, but it's so funny that when I'm doing like my editing and then I see like an Amazon product, like, oh, I got that on Amazon, I'm always just like, ugh, now I have to type that and it's ingrained into my video that I support evil corporations. On the flip side, there are small businesses on Amazon, so try your best with what you have. That's all I'm trying to do these days, is just try my best. You know, I'm lucky that people seem to love my nails and love my aesthetic and stuff, and I'm just like, thank you. You know, one thing I don't think I have talked about fully is just the album that I put out. I am very bad at just like promoting my own stuff. It's just a fault. Like, I love to create things, but then once it's out, it's like, ah, how do I, you know, promote it? And I also do put things out sometimes of like, oh, nobody's gonna watch this, nobody's ever gonna see this, so who cares if it's trash? French tip is kind of on there and cleaned up. I really am just putting in the poly gel. I have to say, this poly gel is just like an amalgamation of pinks that I have gotten over the years. I do have to like mix it up and, I don't know, stabilize it because it's filled with bubbles and it's overflowing, but it's really pretty and shimmery and I like it. It's like the pink receptacle. I know a couple of those. I also am just like really proud of all of the things that I have done this year. Like, I went through a really major surgery. I moved across the country. I put out an album. I'm putting out nail videos and trying to just maintain my online presence. I started my own business of just with my nail products. Like, I have been busy. It's hard because I feel like, you know, I always want to be more presently online here, but I also have to like do things, which, you know, takes time away from this. But that's okay. I think that's part of life. Everything's a balance and I'm having fun. That is the way that I gauge my mental health. I've said it before, I think, but I always just ask myself, like, am I having fun right now? And if the answer is no, I probably need to be doing something else, because there really isn't any reason that you shouldn't be having fun. And I apply that to things like work. Like, if you're working, your work can still be fun. You don't have to be a clown to have work and play at the same time. And that, I think, is just like one thing about just the nail stuff. Like, it's a creative outlet. It's also work. Like, it's maintenance, you know, taking care of your nails. Sometimes that isn't always fun. And I think like another thing about just having a creative outlet, I feel like a lot of people these days don't know how to have a creative outlet or don't know how to have a hobby, I think, in simple terms. Like, people have forgotten how to have hobbies. And I think part of that is just not having the time, energy, or money for one. I think that's just like a common issue these days. And I think that really affects people's mental health. If you're maybe struggling with your mental health, finding a creative outlet can help because it'll like kind of reignite that passion for something. And it just kind of stops you from being stagnant. You always have to grow. You always have to learn because life's not gonna stop. So why should I? And I don't care if I burn myself out. I have been a lot better about not burning myself out, actually taking active breaks. Again, going back to the balance. Yes, I can be a hard worker and do all the things, but I can take breaks and I can relax and I can enjoy the video games that I play at night without feeling guilty and being like, I need to work on something. Because what ends up happening is like, there's that voice that's like, oh, you should live stream this because it's content. But I know it's the shoulds, it's the you should, or the I should. Like, you have to be careful with those statements. But I put out an album. It's called The House of Troubles. The name is inspired by, if you've ever played The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, there are the four corners of the House of Troubles. It's just like a deity group. But Skyrim was pretty fundamental in my upbringing, and I will say when I make music, I'm kind of just going for more of like a sonic vibe. Like a lot of my friends who make music, I don't know, they get really hung up on certain things like notes and I don't know, just using certain samples and stuff, and I'm just like, you should just have fun and do it. That's the only reason I ever do anything, is just to have fun. And so like, I just remember like when I was in Nashville, like I was pretty unhappy there and just like kind of getting through that, but then like finding my passion with like nails. And so sonically, like the album starts out like really aggressive and just harsh, but then it moves into a lot more fun stuff. I wanted the whole thing to be fun, you know, just self-improvement and being able to come out to LA and just like really live my dreams and accomplish my goals. It's hard because sometimes I feel like when I do talk about accomplishing these things with my friends, like I don't get a good reaction. They get like, you know, I hate to say maybe it's jealousy that they're not doing things, but everyone is in their own journey and everyone has their own time. But I totally understand that. But I don't want to diminish like the things that I've done. I got to work with just one of my friends, Kat Boylan. She is just an amazing, amazing songwriter and singer. Another person who is just so good at creating and has like such an issue with marketing their stuff. They're just out in the woods hanging out with nature, and you know, singing's just a hobby, but they're one of the most beautiful singers I've ever heard. I do absolutely plan on releasing more music. It just takes time with anything. Crazy because I always want it all now. Call me greedy. It takes time and it takes work. I'm willing to put the work in, but I don't want to wait. Now I am pulling out some water slide decals. If you are unfamiliar with these, I don't use them a lot. I think mainly because the ones that I have are really specific aesthetic. There's a time and a place for the ones that I have, but there's a big variety, and I think they're just like temporary tattoos. I think that's the same thing, because I've taken temporary tattoos that I've gotten online. I did a video on my channel, but that was an old set, but that was a really cool set. But yeah, you can use temporary tattoos on your nails. Love a water slide decal. You really have to make sure your nails are dry because you're using water and it's not gonna evaporate like rubbing alcohol or the acetone. Once they're really dry, you can seal them up. Yeah, they're really fun and they're a little smoother than stickers, I would say. You still have to be careful and you can still encapsulate them. It's actually a really fun thing to do, is encapsulate water slide decals, especially because these ones are clear. I wonder if I could maybe do some crazy 3D stuff. Might have to try that out. Okay, I do have to give my thoughts on these French tip guides. I'm obsessed with them. I think they have changed the game of how I'm doing my French tips now. Now, the one thing I would like to see is how do they work with like smaller tips? Like if I used like the 5 Angels, like Tip X or the Beatles tips, I don't see why it wouldn't work in the same kind of situation. Those tips are a little weird because some of them are like thick and they have that built-on apex, but I highly recommend that you try them because they were super fun and super easy. And now anytime I need a French tip, like I think that's gonna be my go-to. So you might just see a little bit more of some full cover tips in the near future, but I am so obsessed with these nails. I definitely think they are giving $1 million marble slab. And yeah, I love the matte top coat that we did. All right, I just wanna say thank you so much for watching. I am just so happy with how these turned out and I'm really glad to be back and excited to start 2026. I am making plans. We are getting ready, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.